glitch in the Matrix again whenever we record on this modern technology we call Skype.
Skype.
It's hyped up. Yeah, it is what it is. Make fun of us again. I guess I brought this up last week. Yeah, I don't know why you're hitting that obnoxious sound. When editing, there is no way to get that sound out of the editing. It's fantastic.
That's how I do it.
Sounds like you're hitting like a mellophone or a xylophone or
it's a light bulb.
What are the metal ones called? Mellophone?
Mellophone? Yeah. It's like those little the Fisher Price ones that, ding ding ding.
Oh yeah, it's the only ones you've ever seen in life. That's the problem.
It's true. Well, they wouldn't let me in the band room because it's like that one time that I knocked over the tubas.
Yeah, well, maybe we're having problems like Duke Duck was at the end of the last issue because
I think so.
There were a lot of cog burns there.
A lot. How many?
I don't know. Infinite.
It was almost like the Matrix when there's so many Agent Smiths. Mr. Smith. Yeah, Mr. Smith
goes to Washington.
Yes, Mr.
Cogburn.
Agent, Mr. Smith. It was like a lot.
They had those cool suits.
Yeah, and glasses. Don't forget the glasses.
I think the message was identical too. Perhaps the Wachowski sisters were reading Destroyer Duck and saw the Cogburn concept, and they were like, "Oh, we could have 1,000 corporate drones that look like IBM employees as agents in our movie."
That makes sense.
That's, I mean, it is a thing. Well, we're here.
Oh yeah,
Destroyer Duck number 4. No, 3, 4.
3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4, 4.
Destroyer Duck number 4 from 1983. I kept saying 1981 last week. I apologize. I don't know why my brain was stuck in 1981.
1981, the year.
But
for Lord.
It's really interesting. I did some more Howard the Duck reading this week.
Yeah. Tell me.
Not reading Howard the Duck, which would have been much funner.
Man,
you got excited for a second.
I did. I was like, which one did you read?
Howard the Duck.
Oh man, let down.
Yeah. No, I was reading about, so to make things worse, Disney sued Marvel.
Oh my gosh, because of
in 1979.
Because of Daffy Duck?
Yes. No, Donald Duck.
Donald Duck.
Not Daffy Duck. That would have been Warner Brothers.
Just like Disney sued Oregon State. Or
Disney's,
U of O.
I mean, let's face it,
U of O.
Disney,
sorry, everybody. Should have got that one right. Oh man, messed up. Don't tell my family.
Yeah. Well, I was talking over you while you were messing up the Oregon Duck thing, so I think we're okay. It is Oregon.
Yeah, it is Oregon. Oregon.
The Quack Attack.
How can they have two schools so similarly named with two very different mascots? Ducks, beavers. I mean,
Carol Carlson is gonna reach out from Longview, Washington, and choke you.
Choke me. Why did you mess this up? I mean, with all the duck apparel that I have, jeez.
I can also safely say she would never, ever, 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 ever listen to this.
Or choke me.
Well, she might do that.
Okay, when I was younger, yes, of course. I'm much more. I don't know.
Well, anyway, we'll quit reliving our community college days, and we will come back to this. Yeah, so Marvel sued, and so part of that was the change, and so this is something you probably know more about than I do. That's when his costume changed, and he got the bigger bill at the top, the thicker bill, and the bigger eyes. And they had to draw him in that goofy way. So, and did you have the Howard the Duck, Howard the Mouse series from the Max Comics came out?
No, I did not have those. I just had the original run.
Yeah, so in the first issue, to get back at them, he drew him as Howard the Mouse, but it has Howard the Duck on top. He still drew the same exaggerated characteristics that they required for the duck. So that was kind of funny. It was kind of a neat little article. Ran across. Chris Arendt wrote the article, so I'll go ahead and give credit where credit is due. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. So there was more going on that besides Gerber's rights to the character, more going on too with Disney getting involved just to make things worse.
Yeah.
And now I could understand too, more of the God.Corp stuff sort of fits here. And at the time, I don't know that Disney would have been classified as like the God.Corp, but definitely now.
Now, oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, now for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching some Loki last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked season 1. I watched the first 2 episodes of season 2.
If I could only log into my Disney Plus account that I pay for, apparently I've been logged out. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, I can't help you if you can't get into your own accounts.
And I can't remember my password.
This is why you need a Dan to manage your computers.
That's why I need to write these things down or something. I'm an old man now, people. I'm an old man.
Yeah, you're going to write all your passwords in a handwritten book.
I am. I'm going to put them on the underside of my table tray that I sit with when I eat my dinner in front of the TV.
You are an old man.
No, I just hang out with my grandma a lot.
How does grandma keep track of passwords?
She keeps them in a handwritten notebook stuck to the bottom of her table tray.
Does she really?
No, she doesn't. She's got a mind like a damn steel trap. She doesn't need to write down.
Well, if she had the passwords I keep, she would need to write stuff.
She knows everything. It's crazy.
Well, we have another issue of Destroyer Duck, which we haven't even started talking about, and we have got a cover here.
We've been talking for like 2 hours, dude.
We've got oh yeah, that's normal.
If only the people listening to this podcast knew that
I think people would have been incredibly bored by our previous conversation.
So bored.
We were not, so that's all that matters. So we've got Duke flying in on looks like an Indiana Jones cover.
It does look like an Indiana Jones cover for sure. Like, I mean, he's coming in on a I don't know, like a
rope.
A rope. Yeah.
A rope.
A rope. He's got a gun. I mean, like, it's Indiana Jones-esque in the sense that he's like swinging in on something, but yeah, it's very like Romancing the Stone. He's blasting with a gun. A burp
We've
gun,
got
as they call it.
Military folks carrying off Vanilla Cupcake. We've got Cherry's Jubilee hanging out in the middle of the page. I don't know where Brad is.
He's not there, man. Brad's not here, man. He's not here.
Brad's gone.
Brad's gone, man.
Oh, there's all sorts of things. First off, we get some more notes. We get some more notes about this issue, which is always great.
Yeah.
Jack, here's something I love. So there's a 6-panel first page, and Jack Kirby redrew the whole page because he didn't like the angle of the third little television thing. So this is one of those classic pages. Page 1's one of those classic pages where you've got like the television screens. And we've got Vanilla Cupcake on tour, and she's hanging out with the Reagans.
Hey. I mean, how 80s can you get?
How 80s could you get? And she sings a song, and Ronnie says, "Why, Vanilla Cupcake? That was a swell song. Golly wogs, Mr. President. Thank you so very much. I love you." Oh, God. Oh. I was expecting you to do some Reagan for us, but we'll pass on this.
Well,
I'm not going to even try.
People are from the bottom to. That's not.
That wasn't it. You got a shot. That's it.
I had a shot. I can't do it. It's been a while. It's like when people put me in the spot for presidents, I can't do them. When I'm just sitting around, all of a sudden they just like come out. It's like, boom! I've got presidents.
Well, gee, Nancy.
Nancy.
Too much. You got too much Southern in that because it's hard. Yeah. You slip into not gonna do it. See that one?
Yeah. It's so easy to do. Yeah. Tanner was he was like, "You used to do the best Bush impersonation," and I was like, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Well, it's just another morning in America.
Oh my gosh! No, not the phone.
Oh, you
not
almost
the red
had
phone.
Oh my gosh, is what we were looking for. That was it.
Oh my gosh.
Well, anyway, now you southerned it up. Like, Well, this issue is called Spineless Wonders.
Spineless Wonders.
Completely related to the presidency. It's actually this Spineless Wonders. It's a description of American presidents since
Jimmy Carter.
Lincoln. Are we? Is this a stare down?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I had this conversation. I personally had this conversation with my grandmother the other day. So.
Well, that's.
I'm just joking.
Well, Jimmy Carter's actually older than your grandmother.
I know.
Barely.
Yeah, barely. They're roughly close in age.
He's like 6 years older, I think.
Yeah, 6 years older.
Well, we find out that Mead Packer and his charming, vulnerable licensing bonanza depart for the Dulles Airport. Do you know where Dulles Airport is?
I do. I've flown in there a couple times in Washington, D.C.
Yep. And it's actually in Virginia.
Well, Virginia. Yeah.
Do you know they're finally completing a train line there?
Really? Finally?
Yep. They finally have completed a train line there, so you can actually take the metro all the way out to Dulles now.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty cool.
Instead
they wish they'd had that then.
Take cabs.
Cabs are really expensive to go to Dulles. Reagan National is much closer to everything.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't called Reagan National, though, when this book came out.
No, because,
it's called National.
Yeah.
Dulles is named after.
No.
John Foster Dulles.
The guy who made the bananas dessert? Those are delicious.
Okay, yep. And we're going to move on from that. So,
come on. Everybody loves Banana Fosters.
It's like when Anne asks me trivia questions, and I know that Edmund Muskie worked in the Carter administration, and Anne is like, what?
I don't understand. How do you know this?
Anne is Greg's wife, by the way. She did when her store first opened, she had did a Trivial Pursuit discount. Like if you got the question,
and Dan got all these discounts.
Yeah,
it's just like, you're done.
You're done.
You're working here. You can't do this.
Well, we're back to our fight with all the Cogburns, and there are a lot of
many
everywhere.
I looking at the page. Is this just for the listeners?
Splash page.
It's a splash page. It's a very beautiful splash page. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half Cogburns.
Yeah.
I think that 6.
1, 2, 3. You're right. 4, 5, and 1. There's one down below. Or is that Brad? I can't tell if it's Brad down under everything or if that's a Cogburn.
Oh, that might be
Brad. No, I see Brad. Brad's over there. So there's a Cogburn foot down at the bottom too.
Okay. Yeah,
And we got bullets going on everywhere. We got Duke firing away. We've got Cherry's throwing her cherry. No, she's using her big cherry ball.
Yeah, she's smashing people. It's very much very Kill Bill-esque. It's a ball and chain battle weapon.
And her outfit is creepy as hell.
Yeah, the doll face thing that she's got on. Oh, it's a nightmare fuel action going on.
Yeah,
and she's don't kill them, because she knows something we don't know.
Yes. Wow, and she doesn't want to kill them. And Duke's like, if you say so, lady, but there's not exactly pleading for mercy. This is a minimal Duke issue, by the way. There's a lot of non-Duke action going on. Duke's here the whole time, but it's like Duke could not be in the story and it would still be happening.
It's a cherry issue. It's a very cherry issue.
Well, she starts throwing some cherry bombs and eviscerating. We find out a lot about the Cogburns in the next few issues. So I don't know if Steve Gerber was upset with the people that worked for Marvel Comics or anything.
Why say?
Well, he made an entire character that was like a spineless company drone.
Oh.
But first, before we get there,
yes,
Cherry, Brad, and Duke run out. They get a taxi, and they start heading to, is it Perong? Field, or anyway, they're going to the airport. They're going to JFK. Perongus. It was Perongus. I forgot the S.
They're going to the JFK airport. Where's that?
Yeah. Now that is in New York City, sir. Get a rope. Oh wait, that's the.
That's a weird commercial.
Salsa commercial.
Salsa.
That was a salsa commercial.
Yeah, salsa commercial.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
New York City.
When they find out the salsa is made in New York City. It was not a great commercial, but it had a great catch line.
Yeah.
So I don't think that commercial would fly now, though.
No. It would get there'd be a boycott or something. People would be going into stores.
Wasn't that Pace?
Yeah, it was. And people would be going into stores and just knocking that stuff off the shelves just for the YouTube or for the TikTok videos.
Yeah.
Look what I did at Walmart.
One, it was Pace, and they were making fun of Old El Paso, which was apparently not made in El Paso. If you want into the salsa wars.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was crazy back in the 80s. You would never believe salsa wars. It was nuts.
Better than the ice cream price fixing.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Choco Tacos?
No, not Choco Tacos.
Are you talking about just like the regular ice cream at the store?
Talking about Ben & Jerry's versus Haagen-Dazs. Look it up.
Oh.
It's fantastic. Anyway, I cannot go down that rabbit hole today.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Pause on that. It is fascinating, though. I'll just say, go to the store and see if you see Ben & Jerry's selling any standard flavors besides vanilla.
They're not.
And there's a reason for that. But Haagen-Dazs doesn't sell a bunch of specialty flavors for the most part. I want you to think about that next time you're looking at the ice creams. So we get they head to the hangar, and then we get the story of the God.Corp Cogburns. And Cherry explains they are God.Corp company men born and bred in laboratories of Medical Concepts LTD. Sorry.
LTD. With the car.
Yeah. When exactly. When
Big
the
in the
Ford
80s.
LTD, the limited. Wow. You're bringing me back.
Oh my gosh.
Remember, we didn't have the LTD. We had the Mercury Marquis.
Oh my gosh.
But not the Grand Marquis.
The Marquis.
But the Grand Marquis and the LTD were the same car. But we just had the Marquis. Remember the tan car?
Yeah.
That was the Marquis. Yeah.
Like the cop car.
But no. That's the Grand Marquis.
Okay.
The Marquis was my small, boxy looking car. Not small, car. But
K car.
Yeah, effectually, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was not a Chrysler.
I like the style of those cars for some reason. They look neat to me.
I did not think our car looked neat in any way. It was a car that hauled the family around.
I like the style of the car.
Oh, I'm
built
sure
to
you
last.
can find one really cheap these days.
If I had the space to put it in, I would have one of those, a Pacer and a Gremlin.
Well, I've been totally distracted. They're God.Corp company men. When God.Corp acquired Spoot Pharmaceuticals, which I haven't figured out the connection here yet, but maybe by next week, in 1980, they immediately went to work applying Spoot's advanced biotechnology. The Cogburns are genetic replications of a God.Corp employee who mysteriously resigned after years of loyal service and was never seen again, except through a microscope as a specimen of DNA. So they killed one of their employees who was loyal to them. And then they made facsimiles of this employee. The best part of this is they are grown without spines, and then a spine is grown, and that's their prodigy. So that spine you saw going off in the previous issue was actually the prodigy of the current spineless employee.
Oh, okay. So.
And naturally, the Cogburns themselves remain ignorant of all of this, so that they don't know what's going on.
Interesting.
And Cherry says, the machismo, posturing, the overblown ego, and the company man mentality are all artificially encoded in their genes. They never question what the company tells them because to do so would threaten their self-image. But not his intelligence. The copies were always stupider and capable of independent thought and mindlessly self-destructive. Scientists compensated for those deficiencies by redesigning the Cogburns in a quasi-human form they called a pregnant, and that was the spine that regrows the shape.
I see.
And that's why we saw the Cogburn wearing the shirt that said, "Damn, I'm good."
Yes. And honestly, I want a shirt that says that because it's freaking rad.
Maybe we should get some of these shirts to wear at work.
For like, we should get like a Funny Book Forensics on the sleeve and "Damn, I'm good" shirts made. That would be hilarious.
We could sell those if you read this. That's a good one. Yeah, I like it. I'm actually noting this down right now. So
if you're listening and you like this idea, tell us, because
we'll make that shirt.
I would wear the shit out of it.
Maybe I know what Greg's getting for Christmas now.
You already told me what I'm getting for Christmas. You didn't tell me, but you said I'm getting something cool.
Well, Greg is getting something for Christmas, and we will have an unveiling around Christmas time. So look out for that. We'll have a special maybe video podcast. We will have a special video podcast on the YouTube. The only YouTube. And we will unveil Greg's Christmas gift later this month. I don't have a date for you yet, but it'll happen sometime at Christmassy time.
Is it a Skibidi toilet?
No. Oh. So, no more guesses. So, what we find out is that their genetic structure, they can actually unbirth themselves and take a few victims along with them, but they don't like doing that. They like to get more of themselves. Well, we're off to the airport, and they see a control tower and a plane, and they're trying to go to Parangas Field. Parangas Field. Brad is panicking in the car.
Yeah, he's a little bit he's a ball of nerves.
And now this one I'm a little suspect of, but all of a sudden, I guess he's wearing it. He takes his hat off. So
yes,
their cabbie unveils himself to be Uranus P. Chicago. Do you remember this guy?
Yes. Uranus.
So he had been hit by the pheromones of the mommy lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. While he was in jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And loves her forever. And now he's back working for Enforcement Concepts. So Duke made a mistake by letting him live, apparently.
I like that he calls him, "Hey, duckhead."
Yeah.
Duckhead. Start calling people that.
What? That was a clothing line.
Duckhead. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. It was.
Ducks on shirts. Yeah.
Ducks on shirts. Oh, my gosh.
I wonder if Disney sued them.
They should have.
Yeah, clearly.
That was back in Big Dog days.
Yeah, that was some duckhead.
Oh, wow.
They were ducking amazing.
Well,
Enforcement Concepts had me hang around the neighborhood in case the Cogburns failed to squish the cherry lady. So Uranus has them, and he has them barreling toward a 747. So can you tell us a little bit about this aircraft, sir?
So I can tell you a lot about it. What do you want to know?
Well, one, why don't you tell me about why it has an upstairs right above the...
It has an upstairs. It has an upstairs above. So as a 2-level aircraft, it has an upstairs above. It has a lounge traditionally in most of them. So your first class has a first class lounge. It has a staircase. You can climb up and go and enjoy that lounge area. There's seating up there for people who purchase a ticket. They no longer actually, most continental flights don't have these in service because they sunset this model several years ago. Oh. Internationally, though,
it was a spiral staircase, right?
Spiral staircase, yes. They still do use this basin format as the presidential plane. So it is the plane that is used for Air Force One and Air Force Two. It was designed interiorly by the creator of He-Man. Oddly enough, he was a designer for the Boeing company and did a lot of the interior design and cargo bays and other items and really neat and intricate aspects of how the aircraft's interior looked and worked, and made it so it had a very futuristic look at the time, unlike any other aircraft in the skies. Currently, right now, any operational 747 is turned into a freighter and you can see them if you see any flying or on the ground. Usually they're used by anybody flying freight, i.e. UPS.
So they kept the bar in them for the pilots to use.
No, they've used the upper lounge areas now for any staff that might be flying. It's been converted for more seating and stuff like that. If there's any staff or other people that are
sure, it's not a bar up there.
It's not a bar up there anymore. But the bar is upstairs. I remember as a kid, because the first time I ever flew on one, I walked up the stairs and I like freaked out because I was like, "This is amazing! It's such a neat aircraft to be on when they're operational, because if you've flown on any aircraft in the last few years, you're like, oh wow, these are so cool because the lights above and everything like that, it's so neat, so technological. But there's something about an aircraft with a staircase that you go up and you leave everything else behind, and you are now transported into this whole other area, and it doesn't seem like it just didn't feel like it was real, right?
Not a den of sadness.
Not a den of sadness. Yeah, it's not a sky bus.
Not like the last flight we flew on where that lady wouldn't let us sit next to each other.
Oh, that was terrible. But then we did get first class, so that was cool.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, because, well, I was going to ask you, what would happen hypothetically, like in this issue, if a car ran into the front tires of a 747?
Well, I would say it would probably drop the front end of the plane, hypothetically, from my knowledge of aircraft maintenance and durability. If a motor vehicle of this type would hit the front end of it, it would probably damage the front end, landing gear, bringing the plane down on its nose, damaging it. I don't think what we see in the next couple of panels would happen to the extent, depending on payload and other things like that, because where everything is kept and stored in the aircraft, it wouldn't give you this dramatic effect. But that's without saying, because we don't know. I mean, speed, velocity, and other things like that. Both the aircraft and the car are traveling at such a high rate. If it was parked, it definitely would just drop. But because we see both of them speeding towards each other, my assumption is that the car would clip the wheel, the plane would drop to the ground, and the car would probably travel underneath it, scraping the underbelly, and then probably at that point, by the time it hit the midsection, it probably would burst into a wall of flames.
Well, in this case, it's not so good for the plane. I hope nobody's on it, because the car gets smashed. When Uranus P Chicago is no more, and everybody else dives out, and we get a nice picture. But yeah, in this case, in these panels, the plane goes all lost on us. We've got, and I mean lost the television show, because we got engines everywhere, and it's not a good time for the plane. And then we get to some inked pages. Yeah, you must not have had the pencils for a couple.
Tight. Yeah,
inking. They complained about the inking, but I like the inking here.
It's really tight.
We meet Mr. Pablo Rangus.
Smoosh.
He's really drunk.
He's very drunk.
They are seriously at this point doubting Cherry's Jubilee's plans.
Get them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem well. I mean, he's really drunk, and well, we get a flip page, and
I have to stop you before we flip, because she's like, this is looking very grim. This is looking very grim. Why couldn't she have used her pheromones on the president of TWA? That's funny, because
TWA doesn't exist. One,
they don't exist anymore, but two, they did fly a lot of 747s. Man.
Which is why they don't exist anymore.
Hey.
No, I'm not. This is, for once, I was actually not insulting Boeing. In this case, the 747, they had a whole fleet of 747s stationed out of St. Louis as their hub, and the 747 was too expensive to operate, when it's actually Reagan's fault, because when Reagan deregulated the airlines, the 747 now became too expensive to operate because of the price wars that were started by Southwest among other regional carriers. And it just, TWA's business model was old and dead. And so TWA went out of business in the 90s, left a whole giant airport at St. Louis just being basically unused. And St. Louis, the city, has never recovered since TWA actually went down. So it's actually kind of a sad story, but also a good point. It's an interesting historical point that this. I love when I'm glad you pointed out, because this is a fun one, because he references TWA, but yeah, TWA's business of flying those big 747s around the U.S. not such a good idea, because it's more of an international plane.
Yeah.
It's a long haul jet, and they were using them for luxury, basically.
Right. I was going to say two other things. 747, if those want to see something super cool, watch a Snoop Dogg movie where he has a 747 as the airplane for his airline. I can't remember the name of the movie now, but it is, just look up Snoop Dogg on IMDb, and it's really cool. They have a totally pimped out 747. Super awesome. And then secondly, on your point about Reagan deregulating the airlines, at the same time, he also did the thing with the air traffic controllers.
Yes, he did.
And they all walked off. Imagine a world where all the air traffic controllers just walked off. They did that for like a week.
Air traffic controllers went on strike, and then Ronald Reagan told them that it was illegal for them to go on strike.
Mm-hmm.
Which also busted unions. Reagan did some really popular things. It's obviously made society better. We're all paid so much better now, and we don't have TWA anymore. Deregulating the airlines, though, that's one that probably was fair. But the strike, I don't know. I'm getting into politics now, which I should never do on this podcast. So I shouldn't say it was probably fair. But I'm going to say this. Deregulating the airlines allowed access to air travel for people that never would have had access to it now. Like, if the airlines were still regulated, I probably couldn't have. Greg could afford to fly on planes, and I couldn't.
But I would say the interesting thing about that, though, is that we would have, we wouldn't, I think, maybe possibly, we might not have some of the wildness that is on airplanes right now.
Yeah, that's also fair. Because but well, anyway, we can go down this rabbit hole, but I'll just say, there was a few interesting decisions made there that this book ends up inadvertently referencing.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, at an alpine chalet, can I just interrupt the podcast momentarily?
Yeah.
I just got a message from Nolan.
Uh-huh. And what did Nolan say?
In the podcast, saying that him and the boys just did a cold plunge.
Oh gosh.
29-degree weather.
What? Why? Well, that's wild.
Okay, and now we'll bring you back to this regular scheduled podcast. So, because meanwhile, in an alpine chalet, see, it actually
it fits.
Yeah,
alpine chalet,
owned by the world's largest corporation. What we hoped that all of the people here would have gone for a cold plunge and not come back, but unfortunately, we get Mr. Upwind, the new CEO of G.O.D.Corp, and we find the contract. This is so creepy. All right. So the Hokum Liberation Front, which I'm not supposed to say because of what's going on right now, is wants to be sure that they're getting fissionable materials. So I'll just say, if you're uncomfortable about current events, we are too. I'm just going to say that. I think everybody's uncomfortable. But the book is addressing some of these things, so we will cover it. But we're not going to get into the politics of it. I won't even close to where we were with the air traffic controllers and things like that. I'll just say that basically the group is trying to get fissionable materials for their war. with the other folks. And remember, the dude flew away last time, the general. So now he's here with G.O.D.Corp.
Mm-hmm.
And Wobbleina's in there, and she's like, device. And this is the first time she's found out that they're going to make them a nuclear bomb. So yay. And they get their contract for this, a 99-year lease on the petroleum rights of Hokum, signed on a woman that's being trafficked. This is some dark shit.
Yeah. It's pretty messed up.
Like, and you know, one thing I will say about the dark shit in these books, though, that Gerber does, you get it for a page. He doesn't pound it into your brain.
Yeah. It's not like well, you get it for like maybe, it is one page of, and maybe 2 panels of like the realization of, and then it's not like a whole book of it, which, ugh.
And he really hates corporations.
Yeah.
Well, we're back on Air Parangus.
Air Parangus.
Which is a
not a 747
plane.
Yeah. It looks like something that was delivering mail.
And they're flying it across the Atlantic Ocean in a storm.
Mm-hmm.
Duke looks terrified. That's the first time we've seen Duke actually look terrified.
Yeah.
Usually he's cool, calm, and collected. They have to wake up the pilot, Pablo, in the middle, and Brad is not happy.
No.
As usual.
He is a bigger ball of nerves. Like, if Duke's not happy, Brad is like, he is a human diaper.
We also find out that they're going to arrive 13 hours after everybody else does because they have to stop 3 times for fuel.
Well, that's legitimate because it's a small plane.
So they're going to get there in 37 hours.
So
she should have convinced EWA to do it.
Yeah.
Well, we get back to Lower Manhattan and we find our friend the lawyer and the lawmobile.
The lawmobile. It's a big car. I like it.
And
do all lawyers have big cars?
I don't know, but Cogburn murders him. So,
oh gosh,
our friend the lawyer is no more. This seems like a bad way to go for him. Like it. Well, I guess we don't know that he's dead for sure.
Yeah, we don't know that he's dead for sure.
Maybe alive.
Cogburn just sabotaged the vehicle.
Yeah, Gerber seems to do things very deliberately in these books, so I'm gonna guess he'll show up again, but who knows?
We don't know.
We know it'll be a plot point somewhere, so
maybe.
Waiting. Well, as the exploding lawmobile illuminates the Bowery, midnight dawn breaks over Hokum, and the general is back. And they're like, a splendor of greetings, General. All goes according to plan. Vanilla Cupcake has departed the U.S. And they should all have those spinny, twirly mustaches, because that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And then, and they're talking about the enemy. So, let's see. Did they name the enemy? Oh, yeah, it's Pakmani.
Pakmani.
Yeah, like Pakmani. They think he's going to be upset and that he might try to kill Vanilla Cupcake, and that'll be great because then everybody will hate them.
Oh, okay.
So they're trying to sway world opinion. And then we get the G.O.D.Corp logo, grab it all, own it all, drain it all, etched into the country. So they own, and they're going to drain all the oil, right? Like that was the goal.
That's the goal. Yeah.
And then we see a Cogburn.
Oh,
and they're
gosh.
Like, oh, no. And he's like, no, I'm on your side. I'm a company man.
I'm here to help.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, we do need his employer. So we're all friends again. But Cogburn's like, before your photo op, General, you better shave. So the general goes and shaves. They bring some orphaned girls to meet Vanilla Cupcake.
Mm-hmm.
And we get started. She goes up to give the general a big kiss, and bam, bam, they're getting shot again by the Ghost Brigades. So
yeah.
I'm not sure why they thought this was a good idea. Like, he fled the country before, and
right.
they were shooting him, and now, anyway, basically everyone dies except Vanilla Cupcake, who was picked up by the Ghost Brigades. And yeah, Ned Packer looks on, and Jewel, the mom, looks on. But they don't do anything. They just let them capture Vanilla Cupcake, and Vanilla Cupcake is swooped up by the enemy, and we have no more leader of the government there, and Duke and Cherry's Jubilee arrive.
Hey, everybody, we're here.
But something important happens at the end of this book.
What's that?
Well, Duke says, something crazy about Cogburns and genetic science and how you said they could screw around with the facsimile's memory. She's like, I don't follow you. That'd be Cherry.
Uh-huh.
And Duke says, look, if they can duplicate pink primates, how much more difficult could it be to duplicate a duck, especially a little duck? And if the duplicate didn't know it was a duplicate, what are you getting at? Something that G.O.D.Corp cut open, bled to death on my carpet a while back. I thought that something was the little guy. Now, though, all my deductive instincts are starting to get this funny itch. What if the little guy is alive? Next issue, the astonishing conclusion, Destroyer of Worlds. And then we get a letter from Stephen R. Gerber to Dean Mullaney. We're going to save part of this letter for next issue.
Okay.
But there is something in this letter I'm going to share.
All right.
And I'll read you this line. I've tried to communicate this to you before, and you've always attributed my doubts to the lawsuits having been settled, or the possibility that I might be doing Howard again. So at this point, this book was the issue 5 was being written, or they have settled the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And so Gerber he won something, maybe, or at least the lawsuit was settled.
Yeah, because it's 1983 now.
Yeah. And yeah, so maybe this has changed Gerber's outlook on doing this book.
We shall see.
I don't know. We shall see. It's a cliffhanger on both ends.
Will
they get Vanilla Cupcake back?
Will they?
I don't know. Will we get more issues of Destroyer Duck?
Will Gerber do Howard?
We know that happens.
Oh. Dun, dun, dun. No.
Yeah. So it can happen. Now,
Anything.
There is something important to share with you.
What?
Well, if we go.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Tell me.
I thought we should learn about the settlement of this lawsuit by the most credible source ever. One Jim Shooter.
Oh, yeah?
Well, right.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, he was the editor-in-chief and president of Marvel Comics, right?
Of course.
And he says, in early 1981, Steve Gerber sued Marvel Comics over ownership of Howard the Duck. I wasn't at Marvel when the Duck first came to be. Almost all of what was at issue happened before my time or during the time I was associate editor and not involved in a management capacity. Therefore, I wasn't much involved in the litigation. He seems defensive. The litigation took place while I was editor-in-chief. However, so I was copied on many documents and otherwise made aware of the progress of the thing. I have copies of a number of letters, memos, and documents relating to the case. No, I'm not going to post them here, except for 2 letters below. What a dick. As I understand it, the gist of what happens is as follows. A mountain of motions and responses were made by both sides. Gerber's side lost the war of motions. Gerber's side's likelihood of prevailing on anything of substance was virtually nil. In order to avoid wasting more money on legal expenses, Marvel made a de minimis settlement offer. Being in a hopeless position, Gerber's side accepted it. It was that or scorched earth. So there you go.
In typical shooter fashion. And my response.
Shooter. Pew pew.
Pew pew.
And by the way, he said a couple, but he posted 3. So yeah, it's fantastic. But it is a piece of history, so
yeah. Interesting. I like that you brought this evidence to our podcast today, Dan, for us to review.
Don't you? It's always good. Now, Mr. Shooter, you may have been a complete asshole, but eventually I'm going to want to interview you, and we're going to want to talk about your childhood exploits into writing with Mort Weisinger and what you did on Legion of Superheroes. And I'm actually really curious about the backup stories you did for Action Comics as they transition out of the Adventure Comics, and how you brought more adult themes. How did those themes link up to your childhood and as you grew up? I'm really interested. You did bring some cool things. You transitioned the Legion of Superheroes from the Silver Age to the Bronze Age, and I'll always be thankful for that.
Right.
But you're kind of an asshole.
You kind of dropped the ball with all this stuff over here.
Yeah.
What's the deal, man? What's the deal?
And he says, from the point of view of Marvel's top brass, they had made the suit and legal expense go away for nothing. They were very pleased and unconcerned about whatever grief doing so might engender me. But he was part of the top brass at that point.
Yeah. How could you do Gerber like this?
He was the one that did that.
Yeah, you did Gerber like this, Mr. Shooter.
You could have stood up. He's like, it happened before me, so I wasn't involved. I was just on the...
Nah. Oh, man.
And so he's like, they made this decision, and then it made me look bad.
Mm-hmm. So easy to say that from your ivory tower.
Yes. There are some fun responses to this.
Oh, I bet.
That are...
Read one. Is there a good little quip?
My favorite one is one we've already pointed out. Ironic now, seeing how Disney owns Marvel completely.
Okay. Yes.
He does get into. He says, and by the way, Disney's legal threats and demand for the Duck to be redesigned happened while I was associate editor. I wasn't involved. The redesign was handled on Marvel's end by John Romita. Disney artists ultimately provided Marvel with a design Disney deemed acceptable. John actually seemed pleased to have gotten Disney to work with us. And he has some of the same drawings that are in the book by Two Morrows. So this is probably a blog post that's worth looking at.
Yeah.
If you were a Howard the Duck fan. But yeah. So, and this is Gerber and the Duck Part 3. It's just, so there are more of these.
More?
I'm gonna dig into them.
I might. Get me my shovel.
and hit Jim Shooter? Like what?
No, to dig in. Not to hit Jim Shooter. Man.
Wow. I shouldn't pick on Mr. Shooter in this case. After all, he's completely innocent in all of this.
Yeah, he said so. He said so in his blog post.
Nothing happened. Yeah. It's basically all John. It's John Romita's fault.
Yeah, John Romita's. He wasn't even there, Dan. It was the top brass at the time.
I do appreciate Jim Shooter for the cover of The Omega Point, a science fiction screenplay by Jim Shooter that's on his blog, because let me tell you, this is a cover that I will want to see forever.
Snap it and send it to me.
Okay, I'll do that.
Oh my gosh!
So
I'll go to the blog and read the whole thing.
I'm pretty sure Jim Shooter did not create a Grimbor.
A Grimbor.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe based on that cover, he did. So I don't know. Well, anyway,
he's gonna say he did. When I was 14 years old,
maybe he did create Grimbor. I'd have to actually go look. I am not sure. I assume it's Carrie Bates, or maybe it's Paul Levitz. I don't know. We'd have to go find out. You know what? I'm not going to speculate on Grimbor anymore today.
If you had a chance to interview him, he'd say, "Well, actually, Dan, when I was 14 years old in my parents' basement, I was thinking to myself,
up with the idea of Grimbor.
What's the scariest thing I could imagine in my childlike mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Man
in leather chains. Yes.
So, well, based on the cover of this book, like I said, he may well have created Grimbor. I don't know. So, well, anyway, enough Grimbor talk for this episode. We're not on to Grimbor the Chainsman right now, though it'd be amazing if he showed up in Destroyer Duck. But where we are at is at the end of a fine episode of this podcast where we covered important things like ducks, Cherry's Jubilee, murder in the Middle East.
Yes.
Oh wait, not great.
No, not great.
Yeah,
not great.
And yeah, so again, and I bring it up because if you do go back and read this issue, I'm just gonna warn you, it's timely to the time, but right now, if you're reading it, I can see where it would, it's not be a great read for some folks at this time.
It definitely will hit you with the, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it hit me with this fucking sucks, and it's been going on for a long, long time. That's what it hit me with. But anyway, we still do recommend, however, getting the two Morrows Publishing Graphite edition of Destroyer Duck. It's fantastic.
It's so good.
Again, John Morrow, thank you for putting this together. Obviously, I know John Morrow is a huge fan of Kirby, so I'm guessing that's part of why this came together, but this is amazing. So go out and get it. It's linked in the podcast notes. Also linked in the podcast notes is Absolute Zeros.
Oh, yeah.
A book by Greg Smith.
Mike Tanner.
And Gabrielle
Gomez.
I'll learn it before. I'll get it right someday.
Yeah, no, I will say fantastic team to work with. I mean, obviously I've been working with Mike since when we were in college, and Gabrielle is like just a delight to be able to work with. Her art is fantastic, and if you like that kind of as people who have seen the art are like, oh my gosh, I'm getting some really good like this kind of, why can't I think of the name of the show right now? Oh my gosh, the Tipper and his sister in the woods with the uncle in the book. Come on now, Dan, you don't know?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I got the characters. I got the character. Man, boy, oh boy.
You like the Samson the dog and...
No, it's not that. It's not that.
Not Bible Tales?
No, it's not that.
Oh.
No.
It's, well, you know what? While you think about this, we can bring this up on the next podcast, but I would just like to share once again, if you buy the hardcover edition of Absolute Zeros, you will indeed get a wonderful smelling book that smells like cherries, strawberries, and vanilla. And you also get an MXPX CD.
People are going to start expecting this if they go and buy the book. You do not get that. You do not get that.
I'll tell you what. The next time Greg and I are at a show, and I don't know when that's going to be, the first 5 people that buy the hardcover edition of this book will indeed get an MXPX CD.
We're gonna go find
signed
MXPX
by me
CDs.
and Greg.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Okay. I guess we can go find some MXPX CDs.
Yeah. So find them. We already have them. They're ready to go. Find them.
I have 2 right here.
Yeah. See.
One's still in its plastic.
Doesn't even open. How could you insult the finest band in Bremerton?
I'm not insulting them. I don't want to open it for prosperity.
Oh, we're keeping it safe. You're gonna we're gonna go get it graded and okay.
It's easily a 9.9, Dan.
I'll tell you what. So if you come, if you are either buying the book from Greg or you come to us at the table, the first 5 people that show up at the table, either with a book for Greg to sign or buy a book from Greg, right?
When the book comes out in March,
give you an MXPX CD that you will treasure forever.
You will treasure forever. This is like the time the kid came to the book signing and he was like, could you sign my my, and then he pulls out this CD, and I was like, what are you pulling out? I don't have any, I didn't make any music that would be on the CD. And he hands me a Creed CD. And it's like, will you sign this for me? And I was like,
what?
Sure. And he's like, I love your work and I love this CD and I'm never going to get rid of either.
Oh my God.
And I was
take
like,
him, take him higher.
I did. I guess I did.
Wow.
I
honestly had some of the mushrooms that are growing out of my flower bed out front.
I don't know. But honestly, I mean, like it was a very interesting moment.
Well, on that note, order Greg's book, get a MXPX CD. I mean, what else could be better?
Heck, if you bring one to me, I'll sign it. That's going to be a thing.
If you bring Greg an MXPX CD, he will sign it. I was hoping they'd want the book signed, but
I'll sign your books too, of course. But I mean, that'd just be funny as hell to have people come to
bring you MXPX CD. I love it. Well, well, you know, move to Bremerton and a famous MXPX song. If people don't know,
my college roommate went to high school with him, so
see. So, important things. Yeah, anyway, buy the book. The link is, if you pre-order, that supports Greg and Mike. So we appreciate that. The pre-order link is also in the podcast notes. So, that's it for this episode. Just to give you a little bit of preview what's coming up, we're going to finish out the Destroyer Duck series. I think 5 and 6, maybe 7, but 5 and 6 for sure. I don't know if there is a 7. Matter. I think there's some back matter. We'll probably cover the back matter when we cover 6. Yeah. And then we are going to review, because we read issue 1 through 3 of Alpha Dogs by John Dexter, but we have the conclusion now, and we want to read issue 4 because we want to know what happens. So we're going from ducks to dogs.
Ducks to dogs.
And
that's just like like the Northwest.
Pretty much just finish out the end of the year.
Yeah, that's like typical Northwest. You go ducks to dogs. You're either Oregon Ducks or Washington Dogs. You dub.
Well, no?
I
don't want to talk about it and jinx it because this podcast will come out after that game. So just a lot of people think Ducks are going to win, and
I know they are.
I'm hoping Dogs will win.
I know the Ducks are going to win.
Well, I'm hoping Dogs will win.
I'm hoping the Ducks will win.
It's all about dogs versus ducks.
It's all about the dogs versus the ducks, and we know who's going to win. The Ducks.
So much hate right now. So anyway, I don't even care about football that much, but it's
just how it is.
We want the superiority of our athletes that we recruit from all over the nation and world to beat the athletes that Oregon recruits from all over the nation and the world.
It gets me brownie points with my family in Oregon. So.
Oh, I see. Well, they got their quarterback from Auburn, and we got our quarterback from somewhere else too. So I don't know. Auburn, Alabama.
I was like, Auburn, Washington?
No.
Nothing good comes from Auburn, Washington.
Again, and you know what? We got to wrap this up, but I was just saying, the reason I don't get as excited about college sports anymore is because you used to actually recruit from around the area that the college was in. Mm-hmm. And then if the college had a great team, right, it was really cool because it was like the people in your state were all good and stuff. And now you just go get, it's minor leagues, right? You just go get whatever you want. They can go to the college and it's fine. So, however, I'm glad the athletes are not treated like slaves anymore too, and can actually have jobs, make money, etc. So
get the money.
That change has been fantastic. I still think they probably could have done that without corporatizing the college sports. But, hey, next year Washington's going to be playing Rutgers in the regular season in New Jersey. Cool. So it totally makes sense for the University of Washington to play Rutgers.
Yeah, totally.
It makes sense. That's not going to be expensive at all. So they're going to actually just delete the debate team now and just give that straight to the plane flights for Rutgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's all good. Well, I don't want to relive my days of arguing for budgets at colleges for debate teams. So I think it's time for us to log out of here.
All right.
I hope you had a fun journey with us on this one. I know
I
you deducted. And,
I did.
We will.
Duck did too.
We
He
will.
was like, just along for the ride.
Just along for the. He really was in this book, just along for the ride. And we will see you later.
Yeah.
Bye.